Bianca.
Okay, good evening, America. Good morning, Indonesia. Welcome to Bincang Karya, or in short, Bianca. In English, it's a Creation Talks. It's a multi-stakeholder discussion forum initiated by the Education and Culture Attaché of the Indonesian Embassy in Washington, D.C., USA. The prime objective of this forum are to discuss ongoing research, propose solutions, and also foster collaboration in research and education. Today's webinar aims is to establish direct communication and collaboration in the field of computer science and interdisciplinary neuroscience between higher education in the USA and Indonesia. Then, to increase the number of Indonesians pursuing a higher degree in the states under the Indonesian government scholarships, such as LPDP or Indonesian Endowment Fund for Education under the Ministry of Finance, and also Fulbright Aminef, American Indonesian Exchange Foundation, and other source of funding as well. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Diana Purwitasari. I'm a Vice Dean of Faculty of Intelligent Electrical and Informatics Technology, or in short, ELECTICS, in Institut Teknologi 10 November. And also become the representative of the Council of Rectors of Indonesian State University, or in Indonesian language, we call it as MRPTNI, Majelis Rektor Perguruan Tinggi Negeri Indonesia. In today's webinar, we have invited a representative from two leading universities, Prof. Jeffrey Chase. Hello, good evening, Prof. Jeffrey. Hi. Okay, Prof. Jeffrey is a director of graduate studies in the Department of Computer Science, Duke University. And also from the second presenter, Dr. David Beversdorf. Is that the correct pronunciation, doctor? Okay, hi. Dr. David is a chair of Graduate Recruitment Committee in Interdisciplinary Neuroscience, University of Missouri, Columbia. Okay, so first we will have the opening remark from Dr. Dwi Larso. Selamat pagi, Pak Dwi Larso. Good morning. He is a director of scholarship from LPDP. And then perhaps, okay, Prof. Poppy, perhaps later will you mind to add some remarks, additional remarks after Pak Dwi. Okay, and in this webinar, we will conduct it in English at the first hour for Professor Jeffrey Chase and also Dr. David. And then for the next session will be in Indonesia or Bahasa Indonesia with our presenters who are Indonesian students at the USA universities. Miss Nanan and also Miss Fanny and also Mr. Vincentius. Okay, before the talk begins, let's a short video from Bianca. Thank you. It's a very lively music in the morning in Indonesia. And so for the opening remark, I will welcome Mr. Dr. Dwi Larso as a Director of Scholarship from LPDP, Indonesian Endowment Fund for Education. The time is yours, Dr. Dwi.
Terima kasih, Dr. Diana.
Thank you.
My voice okay, right? Okay, thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, Amerika. Good morning, Indonesia. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera kita semua. The Honorable Professor Poppy Rufaidah, the initiator of this initiative, and send our best regard from LPDP, as well from the director, President Director of LPDP, Pak Andi Nadianto, whom I representing for. Dr. Diana for sure as a moderator. Professor Chase, Jeffrey Chase, Duke University. I think we send LPDP awardee many to Duke. Dr. Beversdorf from Missouri. I thought in Rolla, actually in Columbia. Yeah, my dad-in-law actually graduated from Missouri in Rolla. Professor Nyberg from Carnegie Mellon. This is a very good school, I know. When I was looking for master and doctoral degree at that time, this is one of the university that I was looking for at that time. Vincent Martin, Nana Nuraini, and Fanny Ayudiani, the students at those universities, very proud of you to go to USA, especially in this really great and good school in United States. I live in Oregon for 9 years, so I really know about the quality of this university, much better than my university for sure. And I'm glad because young generation of Indonesia can go to United States for the better and much better and great school in United States. First of all, actually, I appreciate to Professor Poppy Rufaidah to initiate this really important weekly meeting between American side and Indonesian side, and the middle actually promoting our students, and hopefully we will attract more students to go to United States, especially to this really great university for this good study program. Ladies and gentlemen, computer science are responsible for so many important tasks, especially in this digital economy. And Indonesia digital economy is a new trend, and it has just kick-started in the last few years as e-commerce, online, and social media platforms supported by affordable smartphone. I think Indonesia is one of the largest user of smartphone in the world. But despite their importance, the World Bank estimate that between 2015 and 2030, there will be a shortage of 9 million skilled and semi-skilled ICT workers in Indonesia. The demand for tech talent in Indonesia continues outstripping the supply. There are more job openings than tech talent to support the rapid growth of startup and to support the government roadmap for making Indonesia 4.0. Indonesia is currently facing a shortage of tech talent that threaten the growth of its promising technology industry, with the estimated economic impact of 21.8 billion US dollar unrealized output. And the industry is constantly changing, but we are not keeping up with providing the human resource needed. To address the issue, we have to prepare more talent which have technical skills to meet this demand, not only graduate from master and doctoral, as well for vocational training that we need to work hard to achieve that. As part of Indonesia government to increase the number of IT professional in Indonesia, LPDP has been awarded scholarship to Indonesia students to pursue master and doctoral degree in engineering, specifically in computer and IT, including neuroscience at the most reputable university around the world since 2013. LPDP has awarded master and doctoral scholarship to almost 30,000 Indonesian students, and currently there are almost 6,000 ongoing students. 2% of these students actually are in IT, including neuroscience field in the world. Until 2022, LPDB has sent 1,164 awardees to USA, and 1,000 of them, 1,047 are in master degree, and 117 awardee are in doctoral degree. Ladies and gentlemen, and the pandemic since 2020 has impacted LPDB operation, but in 2021 we bounced back and managed to provide a record-breaking number of awards granted, 4,266 from native LPD program and more than 2,100 from collaborative program with Ministry of Education. So total record-breaking, about 6,400 students recruited in 2021 to be granted awardee, LPDB awardee to go abroad and domestically for master and doctoral degree. And every year we awarded more than between 4,000 until 7,000 new awardees to be sent outside and also inside Indonesia for master and doctoral degree. LPDB scholarship fall in three main category: affirmative for disability, lower income candidate, and also less developed region. The second group actually on targeted: civil servant, military, police, entrepreneurship, and the third one is for general public scholarship. A new program is affirmative scholarship for the people of Papua and West Papua provinces. This program is a breakthrough started in this year to boost recruitment of Papuan for the scholarship in order to further support socio-economic development in the two provinces. This recruitment this year actually outnumber last year number by 2.5 fold. Threefold. Yeah, 300% increase compared to last year. And for the less developed region, increased by 250% recruitment this year compared to last year. LPDB has actively initiated a wider partnership through its services, not only with academic sector, but also nurturing collaboration with industry and government agency and ministry, including in the research area. As well, I should mention that in this May, we sent our staff, LPDB staff, to NAFSA conference in Denver at the end of May. As a closing remark, I should thank Ibu Poppy again and all the participants, all the speakers, and hopefully we will get more benefit by collaboration. And LPDB always support our students to go abroad, especially to the best university in US. And hopefully, goal of Ibu Poppy and myself to increase recruitment for American university from LPDB scholarship. Thank you so much. We hope this webinar will enrich knowledge and of the audience, particularly with regard of the today topic that are very, very important topic, neuroscience and IT program. Thank you. Good morning. Good evening. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Dwi, for confirming the support of LPDB for the young professional in Indonesia to do study, especially in the USA and also other countries. And also, I'm personally thank you, Dr. Dwi, because I was LPDB recipients as well. And then
very proud of it. Thank you, Dr. Diana.
Thank you. Okay. So without further ado, let's meet the first presenter, Prof. Jeffrey Chase. Would you mind to present any information from Duke University? I guess the time will be around 10 or 15 minutes. And Bianca team will sound a jingle to remind you when the time has already approached. The time is yours, Professor Jeffrey Chase.
Okay, thank you. And thank you very much for the invitation to speak here. We're excited about our programs in the computer science department at Duke University. So I always welcome an opportunity to talk about that. I have some slides. Let me share my screen here. So this is just a few slides that I have about our graduate programs. I am a professor in the computer science department at Duke. And Duke is often recognized nationally and internationally by its chapel tower that we have here on the campus, which has a lot of forests and trees. I've been here at Duke for almost 30 years. I'm a professor. I do research and advise students mostly in the area of computer systems, so distributed systems and networking and operating systems and a little bit of security. So those are the things that I work on. But right now and for a number of years before this, I am serving and have served as Director of Graduate Studies. So I oversee our graduate programs. And I want to tell you just a little bit about that. Duke is by comparison to some of the leading universities that we compete with, a relatively small university, and we are a relatively small computer science department. We have about 140, maybe 150 graduate students here, maybe 160. You'd have to add up all these numbers to get the exact number. And those students are participating in 3 different graduate programs. I'll talk a little bit about our PhD program. That's the doctoral program. We have about 70 students in the doctoral program working toward PhDs. And I'll say a little bit more about what that program looks like in a few minutes. And additionally, we have about maybe almost 70 students working toward a Master's of Science in Computer Science. That's a 2-year program. It takes 2 years. Some students finish a little early, but students take some courses, graduate courses in computer science, and about half of them do a research project. I'll say a little bit about that. Additionally, we have an interdisciplinary program that attracts some very strong graduate students for us who come from all over the world. And that's this program in economics and computation, what we call MSEC. It's ECS, Masters of Science in Economics and Computation. And there are about 40 students in that program. It's also 2 years. And those students do some research. They take courses in economics and also computer science. And so they explore in their research and in projects, they explore areas that are related to quantitative study of economics. They do a lot of machine learning and statistics and applying those ideas to understand economic behavior. So those are the programs. And we've just completed admissions for these programs. So we have new students coming in. These numbers are actually from last fall, but for the next year, they're roughly about the same. We have about the same number of new students coming in, and we've had a few students graduating, including we're very proud of Vincentus Martin, who is on this call, who has received his PhD in computer science from Duke University just a few weeks ago, about six weeks ago, a month ago, maybe. So we're very proud of that. And like many of our students, he's worked in interdisciplinary areas. He's done a lot of work in biostatistics and in understanding DNA and how DNA is related to cancer and how some of those processes unfold. But I think he'll be talking with you later. So let me just say just a little bit about the department. We have faculty. We have about 25, maybe 30 faculty who are advising and funding graduate students in our PhD program, and some other faculty who teach courses that our graduate students take. So we have a number of faculty in, we have new faculty in security, cybersecurity, who work with our systems faculty here, including myself. And we have some new faculty who work in the natural language processing. That's understanding, it's AI, artificial intelligence, to understand and to generate human language. And that's a very rapidly developing field. So we're very excited about that. We have a number of other people working in artificial intelligence and in machine learning and various flavors of that, not just in the computer science department, but also faculty in other departments who work with our faculty and students in computer science in those areas. And Duke University has a major hospital. There's a major medical center here. So a lot of our research that we do in the computer science department is directed at health sciences and medicine and understanding the challenges that people face in health and the biological processes that underlie that and means of diagnosing and planning treatments for illness. So that's a lot of the applications of the work are focused on those areas, particularly. Yes.
Prof. Jesse, sorry, it seems that the screen right now is perhaps your computer background.
Oh, I'm so, do you see a,
I'm really sorry.
do you see a picture of the tower?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
I'm just talking, well, I can,
Oh,
I'll
I see.
go to another
Okay.
slide then.
Okay. So
Yes,
sorry,
I am
sorry.
actually presenting slides, but I don't
Okay,
have,
okay.
yeah, I don't have a slide listing all of our faculty. So I was just talking to the picture there. Yes, thank you. So this focus that I was talking about with curing disease and improving the human condition as a focus and a mission of the university is reflected in this mission statement. It's a very important part of what we do here and who we are. And our students are a very important part of that. We really want to train students who are able to contribute in lots of different ways, not just in developing technology, but also in understanding how the new technologies fit in with human needs and addressing human problems to make the world better for humans. And that's very important to us. So I'll say just a little bit about our master's programs. Again, the computer science master's degrees, it's a 2-year program. And all of our students generally start in the fall. So that's our admission cycle. Applications are in December, January, February, and then we make decisions. Just a few weeks ago, we made decisions. And students who take the master's, who are studying for a master's degree, many of them, about half of them, just take courses. And they do independent projects and courses. But they do what's called a course-only master's. They take 10 courses in computer science or in related fields. And we ask them to study more broadly beyond computer science, but they take 10 courses. And then about half of our students take a little bit less coursework. They take 8 courses. And then they do a research project working with faculty and with a committee. They do a project and they write a paper and they present that to a committee in a public presentation. So that's the master's program. And so this is, usually students come in, they're not sure if they want to do research or if they want to focus on courses. And so you have a year, students take courses and then they talk with faculty and they see research that's going on in the department, and then they decide if they want to do research. And many of our students make that decision when they're taking courses, because in the computer science department, the graduate coursework, we have our master students and our PhD students together in courses. So the master students and the PhD students work together. And some of the master students decide that they want to continue, they want to get involved in research and continue for a PhD. And the program gives them an option to try that out, to try some research and take a little bit less coursework. Yeah, and there's a defense, the exam at the end of the courses. I did mention the Masters of Economics and Computation. There's more information here than you probably want, but really what it comes down to is that these students take 4 courses in economics, 4 graduate courses in computer science, and then a couple of other courses, which can be economics or computer science or a related area. And they do a project. One of the courses, what's called a capstone, that gives them an opportunity to do a small research project. And then they present a portfolio of projects, and we have a little a meeting with a committee, and they present to us, and then they're finished with their degree. So that's a popular program. Admissions is fairly competitive for that program. We have very strong students, including students who are sponsored by many different countries, and some who are working for the government in those countries, often in finance ministries or in banking, and then come to take these courses and do this program and then return to their home countries. That's maybe a third of our students do that. Okay, I'm just, looking at what's in the chat. So for the PhD students, it starts out very similarly to the master's program. They take courses, and they have to take courses in particular areas that are important for breadth in computer science, what we call qualifying courses. And they talk to faculty, and they find a faculty member who will serve as their advisor. And then they launch on a research project that we call the Research Initiation Project. And then in the second year, they complete this research project. I don't know why my slide isn't advancing. They complete the research project in the second year, and then they have a formal committee, and they do something called a preliminary exam to present more of their research as they're continuing research in their third year, and plan out with their committee what they're going to do for their dissertation. And the PhD dissertation is essentially writing a book. You do original research. Most of our students publish several papers, 4, 5, in some cases more papers in peer-reviewed publications as part of their PhD research. They are funded for the entirety of their time here by grants and by fellowships from Duke University. So we pay them a stipend. And I don't know why my slides froze up here. Let me just, okay, I'm gonna present it.
It's all right, Prof. If you just continue, it's all right.
I'll put one more, I'll go up again, and hopefully there will be a picture, another picture that you see. We like these pictures. Do you see the picture? Okay, good. So this is, really, it's there's actually a page that you can look at that talks, it's really for people inside our community. You can see the URL there. But mentoring of our PhD students by our faculty is a very important part of our program. And so the faculty, here you see Professor Alex Hardemink, who does computational biology, leading a group of students, leading students around the Duke campus for a tour in this case. But the important point of the picture and of this web page here is that the really important part of our PhD program is one-on-one relationships with faculty, not just a faculty advisor, but also our students work with multiple faculty. There are a lot of collaborations. They have multiple faculty members on their committee, and the faculty work with them to help initiate them into research and bring them into transitioning to receiving their doctoral degree, and many of them become faculty at universities. Many of our students go to work for companies, Google and Meta in some cases, and various other companies. So that's all I have to say. I can keep talking more, but I've probably used my 10 minutes. So I will stop. I would be happy to answer any questions you might ask me or address any points that I didn't talk about.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Jeffrey.
Thank you.
From Bianca, please.
Bianca.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Jeffrey. I think we have to wait after the presentation from Dr. David before we can discuss some questions, even though that the participants here, almost more than 100, is already joining here. But please chat your question, type your question in the chat room. Okay, now for the second presentation, Dr. David, would you mind to present about your university?
I'd be glad to. Greetings, everybody.
Okay, the time is yours.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm going to go share and start my presentation and go to full screen, make it much more useful. Fantastic. Okay. I'm going to share a little bit about the neuroscience program at our institution. I am the director of graduate studies for our neuroscience program. Just like at Duke, we are a medical school and a college campus as well, undergraduate and graduate campus as well. We also have a vet school and an engineering school. Our vet school is one of the best, which is a real huge asset. And the interdisciplinary program is an interdisciplinary across all those campuses and all those schools. And so we have faculty in psychological sciences, biological sciences. We have faculty in engineering. We have faculty in the veterinary school and the School of Medicine that have all taken graduate students in the program. So we are, University of Missouri is a large state university. So that's a difference between Duke and Missouri is they're private, we're state. And as far as what it really means for students, I guess the biggest thing is an in-state tuition is cheaper for people who live in the state, and that's probably the biggest thing. But we have graduate degrees in over 200 disciplines. I counted them, and I passed 200 and said, I'll just say over 200. And a full range of scholarship options, just like was mentioned for the computer science program. Many of our students end up on TA lines, but the interdisciplinary program is generally supported by the grant funding for the individual faculty and also through scholarships as well. The requirements vary across degrees but for us, it's a little simpler to get to that for the neuroscience program. And we're very open to collaborations. We've actually, there's been a long-standing relationship with a school, Western Cape in South Africa, with University of Missouri, and this is something we've done before. It's kind of a unique setting. It's a classic college town, and you could see the downtown right there. It's very pretty. It's a low cost of living, so that your stipend, it's probably also true for Duke, your stipend will go a lot further in our place than it will in most places. But even though we're a small town, it's a very diverse population because the university attracts people from all over the world. So the dining and the cultural options are fantastic. And we're always on everybody's best places to live lists in the United States. You probably want to know where we are. It's right in the middle of the United States. That's where Columbia, Missouri is. We're very close to the geographic center of the entire country. So, but in the neuroscience program, there are over 50 neuroscientists on faculty. A subset of them are active in the graduate education and the neuroscience program. A lot of them take graduate students and work on neurosciences, but they do it through their own programs in biological sciences and in psychological sciences. And there's a full range of specialization from molecular neuroscience all the way up to cognitive neuroscience. And this has become a major area of emphasis We have a new multi-million-dollar next-gen facility named after one of our senators, is a big proponent of research funding. And that's a picture of the new, and one of the areas of emphasis is neuroscience. In the neuroscience program, we have a fairly streamlined set of requirements. And that's why a lot of faculty will take students in the neuroscience program, even with other options, in that we're focused on the research for the students. The basic requirements include a 2-semester course in neuroscience, 1 molecular course, one systems course, statistics, and then your ethics and your preparing future faculty, and then your journal club, and then the rest is mostly research. So it's a very, very focused program. We typically have very few master students. This is generally a PhD program, but we don't people that we do have a master's student in there right now. Actually, we have a second one that's joining as well. But it's generally a PhD program. We take about 4 students a year. We don't have a coursework only master's, so it's a master's and a master's with thesis, and we have the PhD with thesis as well. But we take about 4 students per year. It's a very small program because but it represents the pure neuroscience work on the campus, along with working with the people in the biological sciences and the psychological sciences, also doing neuroscience. The pandemic did slow things down for us. I think computer science may have been more resilient to this, but it shut down a lot of things, but we were able to keep our lab going. I think a lot of people did what we did and pulled out the old data that needed work and analyzed it during the depths of the pandemic. But we're now going back into full work in person. And just a couple examples, I thought I'd share a little bit of the work that I'm doing, that Nanan's getting involved with. My work is mostly on autism spectrum disorder, and I do a lot of brain imaging with autism. Here's an imaging map of a language task, and the individuals with autism have decreased connectivity between these brain regions, and we gave a test anxiety drug these individuals, and it increased the connectivity. And with this drug propranolol, I don't know if you can see my cursor here, as compared to the control conditions. So we're able to manipulate the brain connectivity with a medication, and there's a very complex relationship when you look at the resting state connectivity in the brain, but this drug does seem to have an impact in the interactions between brain regions. We also, this medication, a social interaction on a single dose challenge test, and also improved performance on a language test, and that performance and a verbal problem solving task. And that was predicted, the ability to do the verbal problem solving task, how much it changed with the drug was predicted by their heart rate variability measures, basically how aroused they were. And that's a big issue in the autism field that our lab is trying to target. A lot of the clinical trials have failed because a subset of individuals respond very, very well, and then you want to know who they are. So there are many different causes, a lot of genetic causes, maternal inflammation, perinatal stress, and idiopathic, which is a term for we don't know. And there are a lot of different causes. They're all different biologies, and you want to figure out who's who by either looking at biomarkers or genotypes or what they look like, and try to figure out how they match. People could develop an animal model in that case, but when you develop an animal model, then you really need to know how that'll affect the other individuals. So if you develop an animal model based upon, say, a GABA mutation, this first one, you have no idea how it's going to affect other individuals with autism. So for these idiopathic cases, you want to know how their biomarkers match up to the known causes, so that if you develop a treatment based upon some particular biology, you can see, okay, who else might respond. with this propranolol, we did have an improvement in anxiety. They're very much improved. People on the right, you can see that the people on drug did much better. We're now analyzing to see if brain imaging or arousal markers predicted who respond better. And this is the clinician. It was actually the clinicians' ratings improvement that were significantly improved just for anxiety. The social and verbal did not show this effect. And you could see not on there in our lab picture, our team picture, this is the area she's working on, is looking at these biomarkers to see if they predict who responds. We're also starting a larger brain imaging study to look at how all these different markers interact with each other. And she is focusing on looking at how this interacts with camouflaging. Many people with autism have try to camouflage their symptoms, especially the higher functioning ones, because they're trying to fit in better, but it's very, very stressful. And she's going to be looking at how various brain imaging and body markers of high arousal might interact with that, because it may be incredibly stressful and quite measurable. And this is just one of the many different kinds of projects that people doing much more basic science level things, neural circuits, people looking at neuromuscular disorders, all kinds of different things going on, people involved with addiction on campus, addiction research. But this is just a snapshot of what at least our lab does. And this is our sunset out of the back patio, looking westward. That's the Missouri River. So I will be happy to also share any questions as they arise.
Thank you, Dr. David.
Bianca.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Jeffrey, and also Dr. David. This is a very interesting presentation. Beside 3 types of ice cream from Prof. Jeffrey, is it a chocolate, vanilla, or the pink one? For research type, personally, I prefer the pink one because I am a lecturer. And also, thank you for Dr. David for next gen facility. And also it seems that there is also an Indonesian students in your laboratory. Okay, so now we are going to have questions. It's from the Bianca team has said it's about 20 minutes. So hopefully there are more questions from the participants here. There are almost or more than 100 participants, but before we are waiting for any personal question from the participants, I have already prepared, actually the Bianca team prepared for me 3 questions. First one is about what is your advice to prepare potential students to pass your program, whether it's master or doctoral program? Of course, the candidates or the young professional from Indonesia should find the prospective promoters or prospective supervisors from your university, but perhaps based on your personal experience, could you please share more how to increase the potential students so they can get into your university? Prof. Jeffrey, perhaps, and then followed by Dr. David.
Yes, thank you. This is an excellent question, and I have a lot of thoughts on this question because I have chaired graduate admissions in this last cycle and done admissions for our master's and PhD programs. So I've read, I think there's about 250 folders, applications over the winter. And that's a lot of work, but I've gained some insight, I think, into how students are preparing and what are the most successful ways to prepare. But I should say that for our PhD program, we almost all of the students that we admit do have some good research experience doing research where they've written research papers on topics that they've studied and done some original research in. And I think that almost all of the PhD students we're bringing in do already have at least one published paper. There are a few exceptions. So it's a very high bar. It's very competitive, and students really need to get a start. Many of the students that we bring into our PhD program do have master's degrees. That didn't used to be the case, but it is increasingly the case now. For PhD admissions, the students who come, who we admit, they have somebody on our faculty who is potentially interested in working with them and may be willing to fund them with their grant funds from the US government to do research. So faculty, they have money to do research and they're very careful with that money. So they really want to make sure that the students that we bring in are prepared to do research with them. In the master's programs, we look for students who do have a strong mathematical background. They don't necessarily have to know a lot of computer science. They should have some computer science, ideally some programming and some experience with algorithms, experience with mathematics that pertains to processes and computer programs. And if they have strong mathematical ability and good preparation in mathematics and statistics, and some research experience and people who write letters for them that talk about their strengths, they have a good chance of getting admitted to our master's program. I can say more, but I'll stop there.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Jeffrey. Perhaps, Prof. David, is there any more personal experience from you or perhaps your colleague?
I have a similar position in my DGS role, although I have to confess I did not have to read 250 applications. Our program is actually a lot of what Professor Jeffrey said was actually even more the case for us. And with the exception that we do take a lot of our students straight out of their undergrad experience. So we're not at the stage where you have to have a master's or expected to have a master's to come to us. However, the fact that they have done experience, maybe not a publication, but very significant research work already in the books, in their background is essential. And for the simple reason that the investing faculty, as Dr. Chase was mentioning, will want to know that this student isn't going to get halfway through and go, no, I don't really like this, and then quit and move on and do something else. And then you've lost all that investment of time and effort, as well as the financial investment in their outcome. So that's a really important thing, that they have at least done enough work that they know that they have an aptitude for it and they know that they like it, and this is for them. But as far as matching up the faculty, it is absolutely essential with our program. And thank you, Dr. Chase, for mentioning that, because for us, it is entirely dependent upon that, for us taking a student, for them to have a faculty that was willing to take them on. It's how we match people, quite frankly. Sometimes, though, if they come with a scholarship, like say the Fulbright, it's a huge perk, because the faculty knows that, hey, I'm going to have help covering their stipend coming in. This is going to be good. But otherwise we handle things very similarly to what Dr. Chase described.
Okay, thank you, Dr. David. I think both of you agree that mathematical background is necessary Is it signified by GRE requirement, or perhaps is there any international standard test that student or the candidate should be achieved before conducting the potential supervisors?
Yes, thank you. I'm glad that you mentioned that. We do, we use 2 standardized tests. For international students, we do use some test of English proficiency. Usually it's the TOEFL, TOEFL test of English as a foreign language, but there are others and we accept, I think, all of them, but we do need one, and that is important. We also use the GRE general test. We don't require or really use the subject test in computer science or mathematics, although it can provide helpful information. We don't see many of them. But with COVID and the pandemic, there's been a lot of discussion about the difficulty for people to take these tests and whether we should still require them. Currently, we do not require the GRE for our PhD program, but we do still require it for our master's programs.
Okay, thank you. That's quite reassuring because usually for PhD program, most of the students from Indonesia are already lecturers. So if they have to study specific for GRE, it takes some time. And how about MISO, Dr. David?
Yes.
Is it the same?
Very
About
much the
GRE
same, actually.
requirements?
Very much the same, yes. In fact, we used to require the GRE until the pandemic came up. And with that, there was also the growing discussion of whether we should use the GRE. So we all agreed that after the pandemic was beginning to recede, that we will never, we just didn't require the GRE. So it's the same for us. We don't make the distinction for our master's program because it's very small. And it's not a requirement for us at all. But we do require the TOEFL or equivalent for English language.
Yes, that's correct. The TOEFL is necessary, so to ensure that they can communicate, especially with a supervisor. Yeah. Okay, and then for the next question, this is after the supervisor. The next is about funding. Of course, Dr. We already mentioned in the beginning that LPDP has already provided some supports about funding, but perhaps is there any more information in the Duke University or perhaps from MISO? How many fundings? Is it from the faculty or perhaps from the university or perhaps from the local governments? Could you please tell us more about that opportunities for funding?
Yes, for our PhD programs at Duke University, we have a commitment to fund our students fully for 5 years. Some students receive funding for longer than that. That's usually about the average time to get a degree is just a little more than 5 years. So the university funds PhD students for their first 2 years in most cases. And then students are funded by grant programs for the research. And those usually come from the United States government, the National Science Foundation most often, sometimes the National Institutes of Health. And in the master's level, I'm just a little bit ashamed to admit that we don't offer funding at Duke for our master's program in computer science, or well, actually, we do offer some funding for the Masters of Science in Economics and Computation. And the economics department has arranged for that. And some of our students take advantage of that. That's something that may change going forward. But at the moment, we don't have funding for our master students. However, some of our students do serve as teaching assistants, and they are paid for that. We actually have a very substantial need for teaching assistants because we have so many undergraduate students taking computer science now. And so we're very grateful to our graduate students who are qualified to serve as teaching assistants and are willing to do that. And we do pay them, and that's a substantial share of their cost.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Jeffrey. How about in MISO, Dr. Duke? So I'm sorry, Dr. David, because it seems that there is a research assistantship. I think that's similar to
Yes.
most of university in USA.
Yes, it's typically very similar. Our students, only difference is ours is more typically NIH rather than NSF and other funding agencies. I had some funded by the Department of Defense because they had an autism research program that I was funded by. Which seems unusual, but it was they have some special research funding in very clinical areas through the Department of Defense. So very, very similar support, although we do have a couple of scholarships here and there. And so frankly, somebody coming in with something like a Fulbright, it becomes an advantage for the faculty because they're like, wow, okay, I'm going to have some support in being able to fund this student, especially with being very, very good. There's some questions coming in on the chat.
Yes, that's right. I'm going to ask you to answer that, Dr. David. I think it is about neuroscience. Could you please answer the question from Mrs. Risa, Dr. David?
Absolutely. The branch is very big and covers molecular statistics. The qualifications for the student to enter into the field. A lot of this ends up being up to the individual faculty. We have the essential requirements are listed at the graduate school, but the bottom line is if you have the critical elements are that you did well in school, including a heavy science load that includes biology and chemistry and psychology. So you have to have done well in those courses. We no longer need the GRE, but enough English to do the TOEFL. But then beyond that, the critical elements are your experience in research to show that this is your area and you have lots of experience. And we do pay a good attention to the letters of recommendation. So you have people that can vouch for you and say that this is really good. Because the bottom line is this individual faculty, that if you flip it to the other side, it's the individual faculty that has to look at that student's package and application and go, oh, wow, this person should work out for what I'm doing. And so I actually encourage students to reach out to individual faculty in order to find the best match. And sometimes I kind of help them find the best match if that's not possible, because that's actually a critical element that's required in order to do that. In order for them to be accepted, we have to know, okay, who's gonna support them, and so I actually encourage students to reach out to those faculty. I've had students that come in, and I have a student that's accepted into the program who actually had very, very average grades. Turns out, though, she was already working in the lab for this researcher as an undergraduate and was fantastic in the lab. So he said, yeah, I'll take her. So this connection, this individual connection, and is number one. And if you're coming from afar, it's good to show, yes, I've done work in this area. I have people that can attest, yes, see, he or she is very, very good, and also connecting with the faculty themselves so that you can match up.
Okay, thank you, Dr. David. Oh, there are more questions here. I guess Prof. Jeffrey has already answered the question about security and malware, and back again to Dr. David. So I guess there is a question from a doctor here. This is from Dr. Sumardi about AI program for medicine.
Okay, AI, artificial
AI,
intelligence.
yes, AI program,
Yes.
artificial intelligence.
So there's actually two things. I see another question also from you on social neuroscience. We have both, but they're probably best represented outside of the interdisciplinary neuroscience program. We have faculty that are jointly appointed. Social neuroscience is actually, we have a social neuroscience program within the psychological sciences department. And most of those faculty take their students through the social neuroscience, through the psychological sciences department. So if somebody has a social neuroscience interest, many of them have joint appointment through the interdisciplinary neuroscience program, but they're going to prefer to take their patients, take their students, I'm sorry, I had clinic today, so I'm thinking patients, take their students in the psychological sciences program because they're used to that program and they have the TA option there. As far as artificial intelligence, there are some big data experts, but we actually have a data science program that is also an interdisciplinary program, and I'm friends with their director of graduate studies. So there's a data science graduate program at our university that would be very good, and I know their director of graduate studies. He's quite a great guy and would be a great resource for anybody looking in AI and medicine.
Okay, thank you. So I guess before we end our discussion, I guess there is one last question. I think this is for Prof. Jeffrey about cloud computing. Would you mind to answer the last question, Prof. Jeffrey, before we end our discussion?
Yes, thank you for that question. Cloud computing is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I've done quite a lot of research in that area, mostly before it became a huge industry. But we have several faculty who work in the cloud computing area. I teach a course this semester, a graduate course in distributed systems that does touch on a lot of cloud computing topics and the infrastructure that runs cloud computing systems and big services. You can find that course and some information about it on the web. We have a number of faculty, including some new faculty. Danyang Zhou is one who is working on cloud computing systems and cloud computing systems for machine learning. He's working on that with Professor Matt Lentz. It's one of several projects that they're working on. There are some security dimensions to that too. We have a number of other faculty who are working in areas related to cloud computing and big data center computing, the architecture space close to the metal, as we say. A number of faculty, including Alvin Liebeck and Lisa Wu Wills and a number of others.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Jeffrey. So that will be wrap up our discussion. This is a very lovely discussion. Don't you think, Prof. Jeffrey, Dr. David?
Yes, thank you for the invitation and thank you for your interest.
Definitely,
yes.
Thank you. This is really
Thank
wonderful.
you, Dr. David. So we are going to have for the next session, it will be a presentation for from Indonesian students to the participants here. And since the language will be in Indonesia, if you want to attend the session, it will be honor to us, but I know that it's getting late in the USA and perhaps you need your rest. So if you would like to leave Zoom, that would be fine for us, Prof. Jeffrey and Dr. David.
I will stay on for my student.
Okay, thank you very much for your supporting, Dr. David. So I guess we cannot use Indonesian language after all after this. Okay.
She can do whatever she is comfortable with.
Okay, thank you. Yes, because in our rundown, there is no jingle sound to signify the next session, and I'm going to straight to three presenter from Indonesian. This is Mr. Vincentius. Hello, Vincent. Should I call you Mr. Vincent or just Vincent?
Vincent is fine. Vincentius is fine. That's what I go with in the
Okay,
US.
thank you. So the order should be Mr. Vincent or Vincent, and then Mrs. Nanan, and then the final is Miss Fanny. Okay, so the time is yours, Vincent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my screen a bit. Right. So I guess Jeff has talked a lot about the CS program at Duke, about the master program, about the BC program, about the research we all have here at Duke. So I think for me, I'll focus more into how to prepare yourself for the CS PhD in the US. And this is not something that that common in Indonesia, because in Indonesia, when people think about PhD, the first thing that we think is docent or lecturer. I guess everybody in the US will agree with me that maybe only 5% of the, or maybe 1% of the CS PhD become like a full-time lecturer. Most of us here continue to do research in industry and or become a research faculty. And I guess since the presentation is tailored towards Indonesian students, I'll try to change my language a bit, but the slide will still be in English, so it should still be readable to all the English speaker here. Ya, jadi sorry, it's a bit hard to change. Jadi nama saya Vincentius Martin. Saya melakukan undergrad saya di informatika di Institut Teknologi Bandung di Indonesia dari 2010 sampai 2014. Lalu setelah dari informatika saya melakukan research di Garuda Ilmu Komputer, di mana saya fokus di research di distributed systems, cloud computing dengan operating systems. Lalu program saya sekarang, saya PhD program di Computer Science Duke University, di mana fokus riset saya di computational genomics. Seperti yang Profesor Jeffrey Chase sudah katakan, saya defend Maret kemarin dan saya akan lulus Mei bulan depan, di mana saya akan melanjutkan my next position as a genomic data scientist at GlaxoSmithKline. Jadi sedikit tentang riset yang saya lakukan. Saya di sini meneliti bagaimana protein yang kita sebut dengan transcription factor nempel ke target dia di DNA. Jadi kalau kita lihat misalnya setiap makhluk hidup kan ada selnya ya. Jadi di mana setiap sel ada DNA. DNA adalah bagian yang menjulur dari sel ini. Nah, protein transcription factor ini yang dia lakukan adalah dia nempel ke DNA, dia activate certain gene, dan dia bakal encode ini simplification ya, tapi let's say dari event di mana protein nempel ke DNA, sel itu bisa berubah ke tipe yang spesifik. Jadi contohnya dari event protein yang nempel ke DNA ini, sel berubah ke nerve cell. Another event ketika kita punya different protein bind to different region of DNA, kita punya different cell. Ya kayak show here as a muscle cell. Lalu riset saya sendiri, kalau kita ini kan seperti yang saya bilang simplification banget ya. Kalau yang saya lihat riset saya yang saya teliti ada bagaimana ketika kita punya multiple of these proteins bind to the DNA, gimana sih kayak kita punya protein A, protein B, protein C, gimana mereka saling berinteraksi satu sama lain, dan gimana dia bisa mempengaruhi bentuk bentuk berikutnya dari suatu jenis sel. Lalu dari si event ini, kalau ini kan yang bagus ya, yang bagus kita lihat kalau normal dia bisa berubah jadi muscle cell, nerve cell, tapi ketika protein nempel ke bagian DNA yang salah, itu bisa things can go wrong ya. Jadi, for example, ketika ada mutasi di DNA, lalu protein yang seharusnya nggak nempel, it binds because of the mutation, kita bisa dapat, for example, cancer cell. Jadi riset ini penting sekali karena aplikasinya kita lihat contohnya TF binding events yang related ke diseases seperti like brain diseases. Lalu kalau kita tahu protein mana nempel ke DNA mana, activate gene yang mana, kita bisa target, kita bisa gunakan itu sebagai target untuk desain obat. Dan itu sendiri adalah hal-hal yang banyak pharmaceutical company sekarang lagi fokus ya, seperti pharmaceutical company yang saya akan join, GSK. Mereka fokus gimana dari data biologi kita teliti, kita lihat apa yang terjadi di sana, lalu gimana kita bisa target spesifik, let's say biomarker atau spesifik gene buat kita desain obat. And yeah, feel free to check our labs website. Lalu ini yang Jeff tadi bilang bahwa kita banyak research area di computer science. Di Duke kita bisa bagi ke 4 different research area like artificial intelligence, algorithm systems, and in my case it's more like interdisciplinary research between computer science and biology. Lalu kemana sih lulusan CSPHD pergi setelah mereka lulus? Kalau di Indonesia kita kesannya S3 ngapain S3 sih, bakal jadi dosen juga. Kalau di Indonesia disebutnya IT kan ya, computer science, kayak mending saya ke perusahaan besar aja ngoding dapat banyak duit tiap bulan gitu kan, terus ngapain saya jadi dosen. Sayangnya ini persepsi yang salah ya, karena PhD kalau terutama di US kita riset, kita nggak hanya jadi dosen, kita bisa ke industri, ke Microsoft Research, Google, IBM, dan banyak Google employees itu punya doctorate degree. Lalu kita banyak juga yang ke postdoc seperti akademia atau industri, banyak yang bikin startup. Lalu beberapa jadi tenure track assistant professor seperti Profesor Jeff Chase di sini. Lalu hanya sedikit persen yang jadi lecturer atau jadi dosen. Jadi ini benar-benar tren yang beda ya dengan di Indonesia, karena di sini kita riset bukan hanya untuk ngajar, tapi kita riset juga ya untuk ngasilin duit juga seperti di industri. Lalu kalau kalian lihat di sini buat computer science, kita sekarang PhD computer science dapat gajinya paling besar ya sejauh ini di US dari studi NSF di 2020. Nah, jadi ini benar-benar field yang lukratif banget, yang field yang dimana kalian kerja keras, kalian lulus dengan PhD ya gaji besar menanti gitu ya, kalian lihat di chart ini. Dan beberapa hal yang perlu diketahui tentang PhD di US adalah pertama, master tidak diperlukan. Bisa punya master bagus tapi tidak diperlukan. Kalian bisa langsung PhD dari bachelor. Saya sendiri tidak punya master degree. Ketika saya mulai PhD, saya jadi dengan bachelor. Dan US PhD program is a 5-year program, jadi it doesn't matter whether you have a master degree or not, it will still be a 5-year program. Lalu, apakah saya butuh external scholarship, butuh beasiswa? Jawabannya tidak. Beasiswa bisa membantu, tapi mereka tidak diperlukan. Mengapa? Seperti yang tadi Jeff udah bilang, bahwa di US funding itu digarantir. Ketika kalian keterima PhD, terutama di STEM ya, di bidang STEM yang saya bilang ini. Ketika kalian masuk, kalian dapat stipend, which is uang hidup, tuition, uang sekolah, dapat asuransi kesehatan, dan banyak benefit yang lain. Jadi basically kalian nggak bayar apapun dari kantong, kecuali kalian mau tinggal di apartemen mahal atau di banyak gadget baru, itu mohon maaf, saya nggak tahu juga. Gitu ya. Jadi basically just work hard, karena The advisor takes care of the money dari research money yang kita punya di US from the governments, from the research institute. We get also funding for the research. Sekarang permasalahannya kita nggak punya banyak Indonesian PhD students in the US. PhD CS in the US 50% alien. I think more than 50% maybe in some places. Jadi banyak mahasiswa internasional datang ke US untuk dapat PhD di CS. Tapi pertanyaannya sekarang kayak di mana Indonesian students gitu di list of this 50% alien. Permasalahannya sekarang adalah isunya Indonesian students kita kurang preparation. Seperti yang tadi udah disebut juga, yang paling the most important requirement to get into USCS PhD is international publications. Bukan programming competition, bukan internship, bukan side project. Yang pertama dilihat itu international publications. Dan permasalahan yang sekarang ada adalah Indonesian students itu nggak dipersiapkan dengan baik untuk masuk ke US PhD top schools. Bisa dilihat teman-teman saya di sini pun, teman-teman Indonesia yang PhD, nggak ada satupun dari mereka yang riset di Indo terus langsung ke US, itu hampir nggak pernah ada. Kebanyakan dari mereka udah master dulu di luar, dapat research experience, itu akhirnya mereka bisa apply buat US PhD. Mostly kalau dari Indonesia aja, kebanyakan Indonesian candidates mereka nggak punya international publications, itu masalah utamanya. Jadi gimana kalau apa yang harus saya lakukan if I wanna do CS PhD in the US, right? First thing first, kita kalau emang mau do CS PhD in the US, kita harus lihat application process. Yang pertama dilihat publication records. Dan publication ini harus diakui secara internasional. Jadi di Indonesia, mungkin kalian bisa bilang sekarang ya, di Indonesia juga banyak international conference, seperti yang ada di Bali, seperti yang ada di Jakarta, di ITB juga dulu sering ada. Bukan berarti international conference yang ada di Indonesia nggak bagus, bukan, tapi sayangnya konferensi-konferensi ini belum diakui di US. Kalau kalian sebut, I did this conference in Bali, di sini nggak ada yang tahu itu konferensi apa. Konferensi yang diakui ketika kalian when you submit your CS/PhD applications is the publication from the conference that's acknowledged in the US. Dan kalau kalian di sini nggak punya publikasi yang diakui secara internasional, ya good luck ya, karena itu chance-nya kecil, sangat kecil. Dan kalian juga biasanya harus punya recommendation letter dari orang yang memang diakui secara diakui internationally, yang dikenal secara internasional. Ketika mereka lihat aplikasi kalian ada nama si Profesor X, kita tahu Profesor X terkenal di bidang ini, kerjanya bagus, mungkin mahasiswa ini bagus. Dan itu yang ya.
Sorry, as a reminder, I think we have to move.
Oh yeah, this is my last slide.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you for the reminder. I didn't get the jingle though. Jadi apa sih yang harus kita lakukan kalau kita mau dapat pengalaman riset sama publikasi? Pertama, yang cara yang bisa dilakukan adalah kalian ngelakuin master degree, di mana kalian fokus ke riset. Masa ini masih nggak umum di Indonesia karena ya fokus di Indonesia kebanyakan kalau CS ke industri. Dan ya kalian kalau mau do master degree outside in the Europe, in the US, kalian butuh uang atau scholarship. Atau yang saya lakukan adalah waktu itu saya ngelakuin kolaborasi internasional, yang saya ngelakuin riset sama international faculties from the US. Requirement saya cuma time, commitment. Kalau tertarik bisa dicek nama grup kami, Garuda Ilmu Komputer. Di sini kami mempersiapkan Indonesian students buat PhD in the US, dan kita juga kerjasama sama Indonesian students supaya kita bisa dapat international publications. Itu saja dari saya. Jadi pertanyaan bisa langsung ke email atau di sesi berikutnya.
Oke, terima kasih Vincent.
Bianca.
Oke, untuk berikutnya adalah Bu Nanan dari MIZO. Oke, Master Program Neuroscience dengan Fulbright Aminef. Silakan Bu Nanan, waktu dan tempat dipersilakan.
Terima kasih Bu Diana. Okay. So I will speak in Bahasa because there are many Indonesian students here and I would like them to listen to my presentation and to understand well. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good night and good morning. Hari ini saya akan bercerita tentang riset yang saya lakukan di University of Missouri, Columbia. Sebelumnya perkenalkan, nama saya Nana Nuraini. Alhamdulillah saya S1 di Psikologi Unpad tahun 2008 sampai tahun 2012. Kemudian lanjut di University of Bristol di UK, ambil Psychology of Education dari LPDP. Kemudian sekarang S3 di Neuroscience, University of Missouri di US dari beasiswa Fulbright. Bersama Dr. David Beversdorf, yaitu PI saya alias Principal Investigator. Jadi kalau misalnya teman-teman nanti kuliah, orang ngomong PI itu Principal Investigator atau kita biasanya bilang Supervisor atau SPV. Nah, riset yang utamanya saya lakukan di lab bersama Dr. Beversdorf adalah tentang Autism Spectrum Disorder. Nah, apa itu Autism Spectrum Disorder atau akan saya singkat sebagai autis gitu ya. Jadi intinya adalah kondisi yang ditandai oleh 3 permasalahan utama ini, yaitu yang pertama communication impairment, kadang-kadang speech pattern-nya itu berbeda, kadang-kadang kalau misalnya kita bilang, saya mau pergi ke pasar, dia bisa bilang, saya pasar mau pergi, gitu. Atau bisa juga dia sulit sustaining conversation, maksudnya kalau kita ngobrol sama orang kan 2 arah gitu, kalau mereka 1 arah, kadang-kadang ngejawab terus, mereka nggak nanya balik, kita jadi bingung gitu ya, jadi tidak ada conversation yang 2 arah. Lalu kadang-kadang juga ada kesulitan untuk memiliki persahabatan yang bermakna gitu. Jadi teman ya teman doang, tapi mereka nggak punya bener-bener bestie gitu. Lalu ada disruptive behavior, bodily self-stimulatory behavior. Kadang-kadang mereka melakukan gerakan-gerakan yang berbeda dan berulang kali. Misalnya mukul-mukul tangan atau mentok-mentokin kepala ke dinding gitu ya. Jadi ada hal-hal yang disruptif. Nah, apa sih yang saya lakukan di lab saya? Jadi di lab saya itu kita meneliti tentang autis, demensia, cognitive effects dari stres, kita juga meneliti problem solving ability, juga pharmacological modulation of cognition. Jadi banyak banget yang kita teliti. Nanti saya akan share di chat Zoom kalau teman-teman ingin tahu lebih lanjut spesifiknya apa saja yang kami teliti di lab. Nah, ini adalah Triumph Project yang sedang kami kerjakan, yang sempat tertunda karena COVID gitu ya. Jadi ada banyak yang mau kita lakukan. Kalau mengutip kata kawan saya kemarin Dr. John Hegarty, kemarin saya ngobrol sama beliau bilang, ini yang saya lakukan sekarang itu seperti develop biobank. Jadi kita pengen tahu data-data terkait orang dengan autis, kita pengen tahu imaging-nya, gambar otaknya seperti apa, kita pengen tahu volumetric MRI-nya seperti apa, kita pengen tahu speknya seperti apa. Nah, apa sih istilah-istilah ini? Nah, kita bahas sedikit-sedikit ya. Nah, waktunya terbatas, saya nggak akan bahas semuanya. Nah, saya akan bahas salah satunya yang sedang ngetrend sekarang, yaitu fMRI gitu ya. Jadi fMRI ini adalah suatu metode yang kita gunakan untuk men-scan otak kita. Nanti saya akan kasih lihat gambarnya seperti apa. Ini ada mesinnya itu seperti ini. Jadi ini tertutup ya sebetulnya, cuman digambarkan tembus pandang supaya mudah untuk dipahami. Jadi nanti orang yang duduk di sini, berbaring di sini, kemudian bergeser pelan-pelan masuk ke dalam sini. Nah, ini adalah medan magnet yang sangat besar. Jadi kalau kita mau masuk ke sini, kita harus bebas dari benda-benda yang terbuat dari logam. Bahkan beberapa yang bertato, kalau tatonya ada logam nggak bisa masuk. Nah, di dalam magnet, dalam mesin ini, karena ada magnet yang sangat besar, kita bisa lihat proton dalam tubuh kita gitu ya. Jadi pada keadaan normal, proton dalam tubuh kita itu arahnya tidak beraturan, kanan ke kiri, ke atas, ke bawah, kemana-mana. Tetapi kalau masuk ke dalam magnetic field ini, proton tersebut jadi searah, gitu ya, jadi searah. Nah, ketika radio wave-nya nyala, gitu ya, ketika mesinnya dinyalain, si proton yang sudah searah ini jadi belok lagi. Nah, yang kita hitung itu, yang kita lihat itu, waktu dari time frame gitu ya, dari diem ke bergerak itu berapa lama. Nah, itu yang kita kalkulasikan. Nah, lalu ada lagi yang kita kalkulasikan, yaitu ada yang namanya BOLT atau Blood Oxygen Level Dependent. Jadi, kalau misalnya neuron, yaitu saraf-saraf dalam otak kita ada aktivitasnya seperti saya nih, saya sedang berbicara sekarang, atau bahkan kalau saya sedang diam sekalipun, itu selalu akan ada neuronal activity, selalu akan ada aktivitas neuron yang berlangsung dalam otak saya. Nah, aktivitas neuron ini akan meningkatkan darah-darah yang membawa oksigen, gitu ya. Ketika darah-darah yang membawa oksigen ini bergerak di dalam pembuluh darah kita, itu akan membentuk sinyal MRI yang berbeda. Nah, itu yang kita lihat. Itu yang namanya brain activation, yang akan saya tunjukkan di gambar ini. Jadi namanya brain activation. Jadi kalau misalnya kita lihat dari contoh di gambar ini ada kelompok orang dengan autis, lalu di sini ada kelompok kontrol atau typical developmental individuals. Kita bisa katakan orang-orang yang biasa gitu ya. Nah, di gambar ini kedua kelompok ini diberikan stimulus theory of mind. Kita ingin melihat bagaimana mereka bisa kurang lebih bisa bersimpati atau berempati terhadap orang lain. Seharusnya pada orang yang biasa saja gitu, yang normal gitu ya, akan terjadi aktivitas di sini. Yang tadi ya bold gitu ya di sini ya, di right superior temporal di sini dan juga di superior medial frontal. Tapi dapat kita lihat di sini kalau pada orang autis sedikit aktivitasnya. Aktivasinya sedikit gitu ya. Di sini juga aktivasinya sedikit. Nah, inilah yang kita teliti. Kira-kira perbedaannya di mana saja sih antara orang yang sehat dengan orang yang autis gitu ya. Itu yang sedang kita lakukan.
Nanan, Bu Nanan, minta maaf waktunya mengingatkan.
Berapa lagi, Bu?
Sebenarnya sudah habis sih.
Oke. Jadi saya akan rangkum saja sedikit. Jadi itu tadi yang kita bahas yang kita lakukan di lab. Nah, terakhir saja dari saya. Jadi baru saja kemarin saya mengikuti conference, baru akan. Saya baru bikin poster ini. Jadi kami juga melakukan clinical trials pada propranolol yang tadi disebut oleh Dr. Beversdorf. Kita memprediksikan si respon propranolol ini pada anxiety, dan ternyata propranolol ini bisa memprediksi anxiety respon dengan menggunakan HRV. Apakah itu mungkin nanti next time ya saya cerita. Mungkin itu saja dari saya. Terima kasih untuk waktunya. Saya akan share nanti link lab saya di chat. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Nanan.
Bianca.
Okay, so for the last presenter from Indonesian student, Miss Fanny, the time is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Diana. I'm gonna share my screen. Ya, selamat malam dan selamat pagi semuanya. Perkenalkan kembali, nama saya Fanny Lasati Ayudiani, sekarang mahasiswa master di Carnegie Mellon University dan sekarang sedang belajar Computational Data Science. Jadi hari ini saya bakal sharing sedikit tentang pengalaman saya sebagai student di program MCDS, Master of Computational Data Science di CMU. Sedikit tentang saya, sebelumnya saya S1 di ITB, jurusan Teknik Informatika, dari tahun 2013 sampai 2017. Kemudian setelah lulus, saya bekerja sebagai software engineer selama kurang lebih 3 tahun. Nah, selama saya bekerja sebagai software engineer ini, saya terlibat di banyak proyek yang menggunakan data dalam jumlah yang besar. Nah, oleh karena itu saya menjadi tertarik dengan bidang data science. Oleh karena itu saya memutuskan untuk melanjutkan studi saya untuk belajar lebih lanjut tentang data science. Sedikit cerita tentang gimana journey saya untuk mendaftar dan akhirnya bisa belajar di CMU. Jadi saya belajar di sini sekarang dengan bantuan beasiswa LPDP. Pada tahun 2019 saya daftar LPDP untuk beasiswa regular master, kemudian mengikuti seleksinya dan alhamdulillah September pada tahun 2019 ditetapkan sebagai calon awardee. Kemudian di tahun itu juga setelah dipersiapkan ya selama kurang lebih di tahun itu, saya mendaftar ke CMU. Namun sayangnya percobaan pertama saya gagal. Saya ditolak dari program tersebut. Nah, saya coba lagi nih di tahun itu, tahun berikutnya, dan alhamdulillah Februari 2021 saya mendapatkan letter of acceptance dari CMU. Dan bulan berikutnya ditetapkan sebagai awardee LPDP. Kemudian pada Mei 2021 saya mulai mengambil summer course dan begin the journey as an MCDS student at CMU. Nah, apa yang saya lakukan antara my first attempt and my second attempt, apa bedanya ketika saya mencoba mendaftar pertama kali dan kedua kali? Itu yang pertama saya retake the GRE, karena kalau untuk program master saya ini masih wajib untuk menggunakan GRE, dan kuantitatifnya itu harus, bisa dibilang harus kuat ya kalau misalnya mau di program computer science. Dan yang kedua adalah talk to more people. Ini yang menurut saya lebih penting sih. Jadi networking dan ngobrol dengan orang-orang yang sebelumnya udah pernah take this path before me. Jadi ngobrol dengan senior-senior, kemudian dengan dosen juga dulu pas S1, seperti itu. Agar aplikasi kita untuk masternya menjadi lebih kuat lagi. Sedikit cerita tentang program saya. Program saya ini ada 2 pilihan timing. Jadi ada professional preparation itu selama 16 bulan atau research preparation selama 20 bulan. Nah, saya sendiri itu mengambil track yang professional preparation. Jadi lebih course based dan sebenarnya nggak ada research focus. Dan walaupun course based, sebenarnya juga bisa, kalau misalnya tertarik research, tetap bisa research dengan faculty, misalnya mengambil independent study. Nah, untuk program ini, mau di track yang profesional maupun research, itu ada yang namanya capstone project, yang mengintegrate classroom experience dengan hands-on research. Nah, research-nya ini bisa sama industri atau dengan faculty di universitasnya. Programnya ini kan antara 16 bulan atau 20 bulan, jadi antara 1,5 tahun atau 2 tahun. Nah, capstone ini dikerjakannya di semester kedua dan semester ketiga. Sekarang ini saya sendiri sedang di semester 2, jadi sekarang sedang mengerjakan capstone dalam tahap planning. Nah, karena ini webinarnya judulnya Bincang Karya, jadi saya akan sharing sedikit tentang capstone project yang sekarang sedang saya kerjakan. Oke. Capstone project saya ini judulnya AI Presentation Coach. Jadi presentasi ini kan salah satu medium yang sangat cukup sering digunakan untuk sharing informasi. Nah, presentation ini sendiri merupakan activity yang multimodal. Jadi untuk menyampaikan presentasi yang efektif itu ada gabungan antara verbal dan non-verbal behavior dibantu dengan visual aid, yaitu presentation slide. Nah, skill presentasi ini bisa di-improve dengan coaching. Contohnya, coaching dengan human expert. Namun, coaching dengan human expert ini time consuming, jadi memakan waktu yang lama, kemudian expensive, mahal, dan juga tidak scalable. Oleh karena itu, di project ini, kami mengusulkan solusi yaitu membuat sebuah presentation coach yang akan secara otomatis mengekstrak fitur dari each modality of the presentation, kemudian mengevaluasi fitur-fitur tersebut dengan multimodal machine learning untuk menghasilkan evaluation score dan actionable feedback agar presenternya dapat mengimprove presentation skill mereka.
Mbak Feni, mohon maaf, terima kasih, sebenarnya sharingnya sangat-sangat menarik sekali, tetapi waktu juga yang membatasi kita, jadi ini kita akan harusnya ada sesi tanya jawab, tetapi karena waktunya sudah sangat-sangat menarik ya diskusi di awal, sehingga kita langsung masuk saja ke sesi dari LPDP session ya. Ini yang akan dibawakan oleh Bapak Ari Kuncoro. Nanti jika ada pertanyaan kepada Vincent, Nanan, atau Feni, mohon langsung disampaikan melalui email atau mungkin ada kontak yang lain deh. Mungkin minta tolong disampaikan di chat Zoom.
Ya, baik, terima kasih Bu.
Oke, sama-sama. Oke, baik.
Bianca.
Ya, baik. Terima kasih setelah presentasi yang sangat-sangat menarik ya dari perwakilan university serta mahasiswa. Monggo, Bapak Ari, apakah sampun hadir?
Selamat pagi, selamat pagi Indonesia, selamat malam ya, Amerika. Selamat pagi Bapak Ibu semua, selamat malam Bapak Ibu yang di Amerika. Perkenalkan saya Ari, tapi kalau di LPDP mereka manggil saya Arkun karena Arinya itu banyak yang bernama Ari. Jadi nama saya Ari Kuncoro. Saya mewakili LPDP untuk sesi LPDP talk pagi ini. Izin saya sambil share screen atau boleh dibantu share screen dari tim Bianca, sudah ada materinya atau saya perlu share screen kan Ibu Diana?
Monggo silakan Pak Ari.
Baik. Seperti biasa ini adalah skema untuk dari LPDP pada saat pembukaan beasiswa LPDP. Jadi perlu saya informasikan bahwa LPDP ini setiap tahunnya membuka 2 kali sesi, yaitu sesi di awal semester dan sesi di awal semester kedua. Di awal semester itu kita sedang proses saat ini, kemarin mulai di Februari 2022 dan akan mulai kembali di Juli tanggal 4. Untuk sesi pertama yang sekarang sedang berlangsung itu sudah selesai di tahap tes bakat skolastik. Jadi saat ini kita sedang proses tes wawancara. Jadi kalau teman-teman di sini berminat untuk mengikuti beasiswa LPDP bisa melanjutkan atau mengikuti di sesi semester kedua tahun 2022 yang akan mulai di 4 Juli tahun 2022. Prosesnya sekitar 4 sampai 5 bulan karena ada beberapa seleksi yang harus diikuti. Jadi dipersiapkan juga kalau ingin pakai jalur LOA seperti itu dokumen OA-nya diperhitungkan, jangan terlalu mepet dengan saat kelulusan atau penetapan beasiswa dari LPDP. Sebentar, kalau saya full screen kan aja ya. Baik. Dana kita tentunya dari dana abadi di bidang pendidikan, dan juga ada dana pendapatan lain dari dana abadi kebudayaan, dana abadi perguruan tinggi yang diinvestasikan melalui skema di LPDP. Nanti hasil investasinya itulah yang digunakan untuk membiayai teman-teman semua sekolah di luar dan di dalam negeri. Perlu diingat bahwa LPDP ini hanya membiayai S2 dan S3. Jadi jika teman-teman ingin mendaftar S1, mungkin bisa mengikuti skema yang dari Kemendikbud. Ini jumlah dana abadi kita saat ini, totalnya ada kurang lebih 99,11 triliun dari perkembangan di 2012 sampai di 2021 ini. Jadi memang ada selalu penambahan dana abadi hingga totalnya sekarang 99,11 triliun. Dari hasil itu reinvestasinya per tahun kurang lebih bisa 3 sampai 4 triliun yang untuk digunakan pembiayaan untuk teman-teman. Hingga tahun 2021 kemarin tentunya bertambah terus, kita sudah menghasilkan 29.872 orang yang menerima beasiswa LPDP. Ini berlaku semua untuk warga negara Indonesia di seluruh provinsi di Indonesia, dan memang grafiknya lebih banyak di dalam negeri yang mendapatkan beasiswa LPDP daripada di luar negeri. Lalu persebarannya yang saat ini ada di dunia ada sekitar hampir 6.000, bahkan 5.800-an mahasiswa ongoing. Ada di Amerika Utara, Afrika, ini per benua, Asia, Indonesia tentunya, dan Australia dan Selandia Baru. Juga ada di benua Eropa. Ini akumulasi aja penerima beasiswa, saya bisa skip. Ini juga sebaran alumni yang sudah kembali ke sektor publik dan sektor sosial dan private. Jadi teman-teman yang mendapatkan beasiswa LPDP harus kembali mengabdikan dirinya di Indonesia 2N+1. Boleh bekerja di perusahaan asing, yang penting ada di Indonesia perusahaannya, tidak pergi ke luar negeri. Seperti itu. Kebijakannya apa aja beasiswa LPDP 2022? Ini ada perubahan di 2021 yang tentunya lebih memudahkan harusnya teman-teman dalam apply beasiswa LPDP dan dalam mendapatkan beasiswa ini. Kita dibagi beasiswanya, ada beasiswa afirmasi, beasiswa targeted, beasiswa umum, seperti skema yang ada di tampilan screen ini. Beasiswa afirmasinya ada program terbaru, jadi untuk khusus putra-putri Papua, kita memberikan relaksasi persyaratan, gitu. Jadi ada lebih kemudahan untuk khusus yang program putra-putri Papua. Sebelumnya hanya ada program daerah afirmasi. Jadi ada beberapa kabupaten kota di Indonesia yang masuk daerah afirmasi, itu yang diberikan kemudahan daripada beasiswa yang targeted dan umum. Nah, beasiswa afirmasi selain daerah afirmasi juga ada beasiswa prasejahtera dan beasiswa penyandang disabilitas. Kalau beasiswa targeted ditujukan untuk beasiswa kewirausahaan, beasiswa PNS, TNI, dan Polri. Untuk tahap kedua akan dibuka juga beasiswa dokter spesialis dan pendidikan kader ulama dan kader ulama yang perempuan. Beasiswa umum adalah beasiswa yang paling banyak diminati warga negara Indonesia. Dia ada beasiswa PTUD, beasiswa reguler, dan beasiswa co-funding. Jadi kalau yang co-funding ini lebih partial gitu. Jadi mungkin sudah ada teman-teman sponsor untuk beasiswa pendidikannya, untuk uang sekolah dan lain-lain, tuition fee gitu ya. Tapi ternyata untuk living cost-nya nggak ada, jadi bisa pakai skema beasiswa co-funding. Tapi kalau saya boleh menyarankan lebih baik beasiswa full aja, karena semuanya tuh di cover juga oleh LPDP. Jadi nggak perlu separuh-separuh. Nah ini tahapannya, tahap 1 kita sedang ongoing ya di saat ini. Oh, saat ini 27 April, pas banget nih. 27 April, hari ini kita bakal ada pengumuman tes bakat skolastik. Jadi, habis tes bakat skolastik ini akan dilanjutkan tes substansi nanti sampai tanggal 25 Juni, lalu pengumuman, dan ini tahap kedua. Jadi kalau ingin mendaftar di tahap 2 masih ada waktu untuk mempersiapkan dokumen, sertifikat bahasa, surat rekomendasi, dokumen lain-lain disiapkan. Nanti 4 Juli buka, ditutup 5 Agustus. Jadi 4 Juli buka nih bukan artinya langsung jebret-jebret di 4 Juli begitu, tapi boleh di antara 4 Juli sampai 5 Agustus benar-benar dimatengin dokumen persyaratannya baru disubmit. Ini adalah biaya pendukung ya. Biaya pendukung yang ada di LPDP apa saja yang kami berikan kepada penerima beasiswa LPDP, mulai dari dana pendaftaran sampai biaya pendukung dana keadaan darurat. Ini bisa dibaca di website lpdp.kemenkeu.go.id. Semuanya ada di situ informasinya secara jelas. Tetapi untuk biaya pendukung bagi penerima beasiswa disabilitas itu ada tambahan lain yang bisa diberikan oleh LPDP. Lalu juga mohon maaf untuk S2 itu sudah tidak lagi mendapatkan beasiswa tunjangan keluarga. Hanya beasiswa untuk S3 yang mendapatkan beasiswa tunjangan keluarga masih diberikan. Untuk yang S3, S2 dulu pernah sempat diberikan, namun sudah di stop untuk S2. Ini perlu yang paling penting teman-teman ketahui di 2021 dan 2022. Jadi kalau skema detailnya nanti mungkin bisa dicek juga tadi yang saya sebutkan di lpdp.kemenkeu.go.id atau call center kami jika ada pertanyaan. Kami buka 24 jam, no worries, untuk tanggal merah, tanggal hari libur, kita selalu buka 24 jam di 1.500.652. Tapi kalau untuk persyaratan yang lebih mendetil gitu, apa aja sih buku panduan, persyaratannya apa aja, itu ada di website kami, hanya di lpdp.kemenkeu.go.id. Tapi kalau untuk perkembangan-perkembangan terkini yang mau update cepat, bisa juga di sosmed LPDP, bisa menggunakan Instagram, itu sering kita feeding juga informasi di situ supaya teman-teman lebih alert, misalnya ada perubahan atau lain-lain. Nah, ini adalah yang sudah kami rangkum nih kemarin 2021 dan 2022. Ada beberapa kemudahan. Kalau untuk dari seleksi tetap masih ada 3, seleksi administrasi, seleksi bakat skolastik, dan seleksi substansi wawancara saja, tidak profiling. Ini ada perubahan lagi di 2022. Jadi untuk teman-teman yang mendaftar menggunakan LOA unconditional, itu di tahun 2022 tidak perlu lagi mengikuti tes yang kedua ini, yang tes bakat skolastik. Jadi setelah lulus seleksi administrasi, menunggu hingga selesai proses bakat skolastik bagi teman-teman yang belum punya LOA, lalu nanti akan dijadwalkan seleksi substansi. Lumayan, skip 1 step seleksi bakat skolastik. LOA-nya dari mana? Dari mana saja? Dari LOA unconditional dari kampus mana saja yang termasuk list LPDP. Jadi dicek lagi, nih listnya masuk di kampus LPDP nggak ya? Kalau masuk di listnya LPDP, bisa dipilih nanti submitnya pakai program yang sudah dengan LOA. Jadi lumayan bisa skip 1 tes. Tapi kalau teman-teman belum punya LOA, masih mau mendapatkan beasiswanya dulu, itu juga diperbolehkan. Silakan apply dengan beasiswa LPDP dengan skema tanpa LOA. Nah, paling teman-teman harus mengikuti tesnya secara lengkap. administrasi, bakat skolastik, dan substansi. Perbedaannya adalah kalau di 2021 LOA yang diterima itu hanya PTUD, Perguruan Tinggi Utama Dunia. Kalau sekarang semua kampus yang penting masuk dalam list LPDP. Nah, ini juga ada pendaftar yang memiliki LOA unconditional dari PT tujuan, dari perguruan tinggi tujuan LPDP yang tidak sesuai dengan pilihan daftar PT tujuan di LPDP, maka dianggap tidak lulus seleksi administrasinya. Jadi harus sesuai, misalnya kampusnya diterima dapat LOA di Columbia University, tapi ngelamarnya di kampus yang lain misalnya. Nah, itu tidak sesuai. Jadi harus dicek secara benar-benar. Lalu untuk yang CPNS, PNS TNI Polri mungkin ada yang berprofesi sebagai aparatur sipil negara, wajib ya melampirkan surat usulan dari pejabat setingkat eselon 2 yang membidangi SDM untuk seluruh program. Lalu untuk khusus untuk yang profesi ini tidak boleh mendaftar beasiswa prasejahtera dan kewirausahaan, karena untuk kategori ASN, aparatur sipil negara, PNS, TNI, Polri sudah dianggap tidak lagi prasejahtera. Sudah sejahtera Bapak Ibu berarti. Nah, ada untuk S2, S3, LPDP jika mungkin ingin melamar S2 tapi S1-nya kemarin di luar negeri nih. Atau ingin melamar S3 tapi S2-nya kemarin sudah dapat beasiswa lain atau beasiswa LPDP juga mungkin di luar negeri, wajib ya melampirkan hasil penyetaraan ijazah dan konversi IPK-nya melalui ijazah.ln.kemdikbud.go.id/ijazah-ln. Kalau pernah sudah dikonversikan di tahun-tahun sebelum mungkin sudah lama, silakan dilampirkan juga itu penyetaraan ijazahnya. Lalu di setiap program ada surat pernyataan masing-masing. Itu sesuai programnya. Tentunya berbeda-beda, nanti bisa dibaca dan dipenuhi dokumennya apa saja. Untuk KTP, sekarang kita bekerja sama, LPDP bekerja sama dengan Dukcapil. Jadi satu KTP Bapak Ibu teman-teman sudah cuma bisa satu kali untuk melamar beasiswa LPDP. Jika nanti tidak ada match, mohon hubungi Dukcapilnya Bapak Ibu setempat untuk dicek benar tidak nomornya atau pernah digunakan untuk hal-hal lainnya. Jadi kita akan melakukan verifikasi KTP. Kalau sebelumnya tidak ada untuk verifikasi KTP. Jadi sekarang kita perlu itu untuk lebih mendata. Dan ini yang terakhir, surat rekomendasi. Kemarin sempat bingung, yang dimaksud surat rekomendasi dari tokoh masyarakat atau akademisi itu bentukannya seperti apa? Siapa yang dianggap tokoh masyarakat kah? Siapa aja mereka? Sebenarnya begini, LPDP kan kita sedang melamar beasiswa ya, maksudnya di jalur pendidikan gitu. Jadi yang kita anggap tokoh masyarakat di lingkungan kita ya mungkin Bapak RT kita pun juga tokoh masyarakat gitu, Bapak Lurah pun kita juga tokoh masyarakat. Tapi kalau bisa lebih relevan, misalnya tokoh masyarakatnya misalnya dari dosen, Bapak Ibu dosen pembimbing, atau rektor, atau dekan, atau kalau bisa sih terkait dengan dunia pendidikan gitu. Kita jadi tidak membatasi misalnya RT boleh atau enggak, lurah atau boleh atau enggak. Ya sekarang kalau misalnya Pak RT-nya seseorang rektor di kampus tertentu, ya sebenarnya bisa-bisa aja gitu. Cuma nanti kan komite reviewer-nya akan menilai juga kesungguhan mencari surat rekomendasi ini sebenarnya dari mana sih. Kalau dari atasan langsung tuh juga sebenarnya sudah bisa dari bos gitu ya, dari bosnya, dari kalau bekerja di sektor swasta mungkin dari pimpinan perusahaannya, atau kalau bekerja di sektor publik bisa dari bosnya eselon 3, eselon 2-nya, seperti itu cukup gitu. Jadi untuk yang surat rekomendasi dari tokoh masyarakat atau akademisi ini penting. Nah, tadi kalau untuk yang PNS TNI Polri juga ditambahkan surat usulan dari instansi tempat mereka bekerja. Ini saya mungkin akan skip ya, tadi sudah saya jelaskan untuk skemanya. paling ini ada ketentuan yang berlaku di LPDP, seringkali mungkin diabaikan, jadi akan merugikan diri sendiri nanti. Kalau dokumen itu tentu saja melamar beasiswa apapun harus yang asli, tidak boleh aspal, asli palsu gitu, atau beneran palsu sengaja niat gitu. Apa aja yang biasa dipalsuin nih di LPDP. Jadi banyak pelamar yang mencoba-coba melamar dengan dokumen TOEFL, IELTS palsu, sertifikat bahasa misalnya. Itu yang paling gampang sekali kita detect sebenarnya. Sekali-sekali coba itu palsu dan kita coba telusuri, ketahuan itu sanksinya adalah diblokir. Blokirnya seumur hidup. Jadi nggak bisa lagi daftar beasiswa LPDP untuk pemalsuan dokumen apapun, surat rekomendasi, terus ijazah, apalagi transkrip nilai, sertifikat bahasa yang paling mudah. Itu kita akan cek satu-satu orang yang melamar. Walaupun ribuan, kita sudah kerjasama dengan juga penyelenggara tes sertifikat bahasa. Jika itu ketahuan atau terbukti palsu seperti itu, nanti sanksinya diberikan pemblokiran. Tapi jangan khawatir kalau misalnya teman-teman merasa ini asli kok sertifikat saya, kenapa dibilang palsu seperti itu oleh LPDP, silakan melakukan masa sanggah ke LPDP. Kita akan berikan masa sanggah untuk klarifikasi. Jika memang itu dirasa sudah benar, LPDP akan meloloskannya. Tapi jika memang tidak bisa dibuktikan dan itu palsu, baik sengaja atau tidak sengaja nih, misalnya memang dari lembaganya gitu kan, yang bikin tes TOEFL atau IELTS kan banyak nih lembaganya. Jadi perlu berhati-hati juga, ditelusuri dulu ini kredibel atau tidak lembaga yang mengeluarkan tes untuk sertifikat bahasa. Jangan sampai merugikan diri sendiri. Kita langsung blokir. Nanti nggak bisa daftar LPDP lagi. Nah, ini juga ketentuan yang harus diikuti setelah menerima beasiswa. Kami juga bekerja sama dengan Dirjen Imigrasi. Jadi setelah selesai studi, 2N+1 harus kembali ke Indonesia untuk mengabdikan diri di Indonesia, bekerja di Indonesia. Gimana kalau misalnya saya pekerja misalnya dari Kementerian Luar Negeri misalnya. Setelah selesai saya kembali ke Indonesia dan ternyata ditugaskan nih di luar negeri, itu nggak apa-apa. Itu nggak apa-apa sekali. Yang maksud saya nggak boleh itu misalnya bekerja di salah satu perusahaan swasta, perusahaan asing yang kedudukannya tidak di Indonesia. Itu yang nggak boleh. Jadi harus balik ke Indonesia, bekerja di Indonesia, mungkin membuka lapangan pekerjaan buat warga negara Indonesia yang lain, mengabdikan dirinya di Indonesia. Itu yang kami butuhkan. Jika terbukti keluar atau tidak kembali, nanti urusannya dari Dirjen Imigrasi. Untuk cekal-mencekalnya itu dari Dirjen sana, karena kita sudah bekerja sama. Selanjutnya adalah program-program yang LPDP sajikan. Ada banyak, S2, S3, mungkin nanti bisa sambil langsung tanya-jawab supaya lebih jelas. Karena ini informasi-informasi ini bisa didapatkan juga di website kami. Per detil persyaratannya apa aja. Mungkin satu yang saya infokan di sini yang umum ya, karena umum paling banyak diminati oleh warga negara Indonesia. Ini dia beasiswa reguler. Batas usianya 35 tahun untuk S2, doktoral 40 tahun. Persyaratan bahasanya TOEFL hanya 500, juga boleh dengan IBT atau IELTS dan lain-lain. Magister luar negeri tidak bisa menggunakan TOEFL ITP ya, harus TOEFL IBT, skor 80. Doktoral juga untuk dalam negeri masih bisa yang ITP, kalau luar negeri boleh IBT. Dengan IELTS diterima untuk semua program. Syarat IPK minimum 3 untuk magister, doktoral 3,25. Ini mutlak, jadi nggak bisa tawar-menawar, saya 2,99 atau 2,8. Itu nggak bisa. Doktoral juga minimum di 3,25. Nanti proses seleksinya ada 3. seleksi administrasi, seleksi bakat skolastik, dan seleksi substansi. Dengan skema yang tadi di awal saya jelaskan, kalau sudah punya LOA akan lebih simple. Bakat skolastiknya coret kalau sudah punya LOA-nya. Jadi apply-nya jalur sudah memiliki LOA. Paling yang perlu diperhatikan, intake atau mulai perkuliahannya itu jangan mepet dengan pengumuman dari LPDP. Maksud saya seperti ini. Jika intake-nya misalnya di bulan Agustus gitu ya, di tahun 2022. Sekarang sedang mengikuti seleksi. Dan nanti kan kami infokan di akhir Juni ya. Akhir Juni atau awal Juli, misalnya tanggal 1, itu baru pengumuman. Kan nggak langsung pengumuman seperti itu langsung berangkat. Ada proses di LPDP, administrasi yang harus diikuti teman-teman. Tanda tangan kontrak, permintaan letter of sponsorship dari kampus, letter of garansi untuk menjamin lain-lain di kampus tujuan. Dan juga harus mengikuti persiapan keberangkatan, itu wajib. Jadi harus diperhitungkan masa jedanya. Kalau bisa, misalnya memang niat di misalnya besok nih tahap kedua, itu kan selesainya kira-kira November akhir pengumuman. Jadi kasihlah waktu untuk teman-teman siapkan intake-nya. Kalau boleh, kalau Februari bisa beres ya alhamdulillah, tapi kalau nggak bisa terpaksa harus defer. Nanti kampus juga, setiap kampus punya kebijakan sendiri-sendiri, boleh defer atau tidak. Nah itu teman-teman harus pastikan. Amannya sih kalau menurut saya 6 bulan ya, dari sekitar 6 bulan dari dinyatakan diterima itu, jadi teman-teman juga bisa lebih prepare harus persiapan apa aja untuk sekolah di dalam negeri maupun di luar negeri. Kayak gitu. Kalau dalam negeri mungkin akan lebih simple karena kan sesama di Indonesia ya. Untuk persiapannya dalam waktu yang mepet mungkin akan lebih ringkas karena kalau luar negeri harus mengurus visa dan lain-lain, insurance. Jadi itu perlu diperhatikan. Saya rasa itu saja penjelasan saya. Ini hanya ada daftar list PTUD, ada juga di lpdp.kemenkeu.go.id. Kalau ada pertanyaan atau yang kurang jelas selain call center 24 jam, kami juga punya link di bantuan.lpdp@kemenkeu.go.id. Tuliskan aja apa yang mau ditanyakan di situ, nanti kami jawab dari LPDP. Jika tidak bisa melakukan telepon, jadi bisa bersurat menggunakan tiket bantuan di bantuan.lpdp@kemenkeu.go.id. Itu saja yang dapat kami sampaikan pada pagi hari ini. Terima kasih. Jika ada pertanyaan dan lain-lain, silakan saya kembalikan ke Ibu Diana. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Ari. Okay, guys, we are going to have 15 minutes question and answer. I'm sorry, Dr. David, we are going to have in Indonesian language discussion. I hope that will be fine for you. Thank you for still staying with us.
If there's a question for me, just throw it in English.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. David. Oke, Mbak, Mas, Ibu, Bapak sekalian, monggo. Ini kita masih ada sesi tanya jawab sekitar sampai 10.25 waktu Indonesia bagian Barat ya. Jadi karena pertanyaan disampaikan di chat, sementara itu mungkin bisa dari Vincent, Nana, dan Feni bisa menambahkan dari pertanyaan yang sudah disampaikan oleh para partisipan, juga Pak Ari, ya Pak. Jadi intinya sepertinya kalau dari teman-teman dari partisipan ini, pastinya satu, bagaimana cara mencari principal investigator tadi ya, atau supervisor begitu, kemudian masalah pendanaan, serta kemudian strategi untuk lolos gitu, untuk lolos beasiswa. Kalau dalam hal ini mungkin Pak Ari bisa sharing LPDP, tetapi kalau dari yang Vincent, mungkin Nanan atau Feni bisa cerita dari pengalaman pribadi atau pengalaman teman mahasiswa Indonesia di sana, barangkali ada yang menggunakan beasiswa lain. Monggo silakan, langsung saja kita diskusi bebas, G. Jadi langsung saja yang bisa sharing, monggo silakan.
Siap, Ibu Diana. First of all, sorry, Dr. David, that we present this presentation today, this morning in Jakarta, in Bahasa Indonesia. But if you want to look for further information, you can visit our website, lpdp.kemenq.go.id. We provide English version as well. For this morning session, I'll explain it in Bahasa Indonesia. Sorry. Ya, untuk strategi Bu Diana, jadi tipsnya kebetulan saya juga awardee LPDP. Sebelum saya bergabung di LPDP, saya juga seorang penerima beasiswa LPDP. Jadi kurang lebih tipsnya apa sih? Di situ ada nanti teman-teman mengisi essay, motivation letter, dan essay, aktualisasi diri, dan juga motivasi. Di situ teman-teman diharapkan menjelaskan secara kompak dengan kriteria halaman yang sudah ditentukan, seperti itu kalau saya tidak salah. Jadi nggak boleh kepanjangan juga.
Kalau tidak salah 2000 kata. Kalau tidak salah 2000 kata.
Gitu. Jadi nggak boleh kepanjangan juga, nggak boleh dikit banget gitu. Tapi ya kompak, tapi memuat semua apa yang ingin teman-teman katakan, teman-teman ceritakan. Itu nanti akan dikonfirmasi ketika teman-teman melakukan tes wawancara, pada saat tes wawancara. Dan di tes wawancara itu, komite reviewer itu akan mengetahui benar atau tidaknya saya mungkin orang gini, udahlah itu ngemeng aja, gampang. Enggak seperti itu juga. Jadi teman-teman harus menuliskan dengan benar, dan si komite reviewer itu akan tahu ini anak beneran niat atau ngarang gitu loh. Jadi itu yang meyakinkan untuk komite reviewer, karena mereka tidak menetapkan. Misalnya saya diterima beasiswa atau tidak. Mereka hanya menyarankan. Nanti dari tim LPDP, dari tim kami yang akan menerima rekomendasi dari para komite reviewer itu. Sebenarnya ini anak layak atau tidak untuk diberikan beasiswa LPDP. Itu untuk yang motivation letter dan lain-lain. Untuk keabsahan dokumen tentu saja seperti yang saya jelaskan di awal tadi, harus yang asli. Jangan pernah berpikir atau niatan mencoba-coba memalsukan dokumen apapun. Karena sanksinya sudah pasti blokir. Blokirnya udah nggak bisa dibuka lagi soalnya sekarang. Kalau udah diblokir sekali ya sudah. Padahal teman-teman kalau misalnya gagal, itu juga jangan langsung patah semangat, sudah gagal, saya nggak mau ikut lagi. Selama masih seleksi administrasi, ikut lagi aja next batch-nya. Nggak apa-apa. Selama masih tes seleksi administrasi. Tapi kalau sudah di tahapan wawancara, misalnya di tahap 1 ini lulus wawancara, lalu dites ternyata result akhirnya gagal, teman-teman mohon maaf nggak boleh dulu. Tahap keduanya daftar nggak boleh dulu, cooling down dulu, tenangkan dulu pikiran, nanti tahun berikutnya baru apply lagi kalau sudah di tahap wawancara ya. Tapi kalau masih seleksi administrasi, ya coba aja lagi, daftar lagi gitu. Dan LPDP tidak akan menginfokan, misalnya teman-teman nih nggak lulusnya gara-gara tadi pemalsuan dokumen. Itu yang paling gampang banget deh, paling banyak banget ketahuan. Dan saya sangat sedih kalau ada ASN, PNS, TNI, Polri yang mendaftar melalui jalur itu juga memasukkan dokumen. Itu menurut saya sih keterlaluan sih kalau sampai sudah apply program yang ASN dan kami lihat di data, kok ada yang masih aja ya dokumennya palsu kayak gitu. Itu mendingan jangan dilakukan gitu untuk semua program. Tips yang lainnya, wawancara itu hanya 40 menit sampai 60 menit. Jadi kondisinya benar-benar disiapin semuanya, apalagi sekarang sistemnya online. Jadi harusnya lebih well prepared dari rumah gitu. Nggak perlu kan, kalau saya zaman dulu harus ke tempat wawancaranya gitu, fisik. Nah sekarang bisa dipersiapkan lebih matang harusnya secara daring. Paling itu aja tipsnya Bu Diana. Jika ada pertanyaan lain mungkin.
Oke,
Saya
terima
sambil
kasih.
baca di chat juga banyak
Oke.
ya.
Oke, baik. Mungkin minta tolong kalau Pak Ari dijawab di chat ya Pak. Ini yang mohon sarannya dari Vincent, dari Bu Nanan atau Nanan, ini saya harus memanggilnya, serta Mbak Feni terkait persiapan lolos masuk program. Nah, ini mungkin maksudnya programnya program sekolahnya ya mestinya ini ya, serta mungkin lolos seleksi beasiswa yang untuk Aminef ya. Kalau untuk LPDP tadi sampun disampaikan oleh Pak Ari. Monggo silakan Vincent, Mbak Nanan dan Mbak Feni.
Dari saya singkat aja kali ya.
Silakan Mas.
Oke ya. Dari saya singkat aja. Sebenarnya kalau nanya apa yang harus dilakukan supaya dapat beasiswa S3 di US, karena saya di sini ngomongnya saya dari S3, gampangnya yang penting keterima S3 di US itu gratis. Ini yang banyak orang Indonesia belum tahu, S3 di US itu gratis. Waktu saya daftar S3 di US, orang tua kayak, oh gimana kita nggak bisa bayarin kamu, ya nggak perlu gitu, karena S3 di US mau gratis, kita semua dapat biaya hidup, dapat asuransi kesehatan segala macam, semua dijamin, dan itu udah lebih dari cukup biasanya untuk hidup di sini. Paling gimana cara keterima, seperti yang tadi saya bilang, kalian harus punya pengalaman riset, harus punya publikasi internasional, karena tanpa itu nggak mungkin diterima. Tapi setelah keterima, nggak usah pikirin apa-apa lagi, semua gratis dan hidup dijamin untuk S3 di US.
Oke, terima kasih sarannya Vincent. Mungkin akan sedikit berbeda jika Bu Nanan mungkin di sana membawa keluarga atau sendiri, Nje?
Saya bawa keluarga, tapi
Nah,
kalau untuk
mungkin
ya,
silakan.
kalau sekarang saya dapat S3 dari Fulbright, tapi waktu S2 dapat dari LPDP. Dan waktu zaman saya masih dapat tunjangan keluarga gitu. Jadi pasti beda kasusnya. Tapi kalau teman-teman di sini yang S3 dari LPDP dan bawa keluarga tetap bisa, karena biasanya pasangannya nyari kerja. Jadi di sini tuh peluang kerja tuh banyak banget, asalkan mau kerja, insya Allah bisa pasangannya kerja juga di sini dan akan memenuhi kebutuhan sehari-hari. Itu nggak usah khawatir.
Oke, kalau untuk Mbak Feni itu yang menarik karena master course ya, padahal tadi kan disampaikan kalau S3 dia harus ada pengalaman riset. Nah ini S2-nya bagaimana ini Mbak Feni? Apakah ada pengalaman riset dulu atau bagaimana supaya lolos masuk ke program di universitas Anda?
Kalau untuk saya sendiri sebenarnya belum ada pengalaman riset. Jadi sepertinya kalau untuk master itu lebih seperti yang tadi mungkin disampaikan oleh Profesor Chase juga, lebih dipentingkan oleh skor GRE dan matematikanya harus kuat, dan tentunya statement of purpose-nya juga harus kuat.
Oke, apakah ada pertanyaan lebih lanjut? Ini kita masih ada waktu
Budiana,
sekitar...
maaf Budiana,
Ya, silakan Pak Ari.
Ya.
Silakan Pak, ada waktu.
Itu PK berapa Bu?
Saya, PK 80.
Oh, enggak, Ibu PK 80. Bu Nanan tadi juga ya, LPDP ya, S2-nya
Saya
ya?
PK-nya 67.
Oh iya, oke. Zaman-zaman itu memang masih ditanggung ya untuk S2 keluarganya. Saya ada beberapa chat ini yang di chat Zoom, kayaknya menarik untuk dijawab. Jadi ada minta saran, lebih baik lolos beasiswa LPDP dulu atau terima LOA dari PT tujuan gitu ya. Nah itu dia, itu strateginya sebenarnya sama aja. Kalau saya pengalamannya itu belum punya LOA saat itu. Jadi saya dapetin beasiswa LPDP-nya dulu. Lebih mudahnya apa? Kalau keuntungannya apa? Kalau saya belum punya LOA, itu saya bisa patok 3 universitas. Misalnya gini, saya mau apply di kampus A, kampus B, kampus C, tapi belum ada LOA-nya, nggak apa-apa. Tapi nanti setelah dinyatakan dapat beasiswa LPDP, harus apply-nya di kampus A, B, C. Kalau dulu masih boleh pindah-pindahan tuh, pindah-pindahan jurusan. Nah sekarang enaknya kalau yang belum punya LOA kayak gitu, jadi dikasih 3, kayak zaman UMPTN, SPMB, gitu-gitu ya. Zaman dulu kampusnya mana gitu kan. Nah sekarang kayak gitu 3. Nanti kalau udah dapat beasiswa LPDP dikasih waktu 12 bulan, dan karena ini pandemi ada tambahan 6 bulan. Jadi 18 bulan, segera carilah LOA dari kampus ABC tadi yang didaftarkan sebagai tujuan. Kalau ABC nggak dapat, ya gugur karena nggak ada opsi D, E, F, G, H, I-nya nggak ada. Jadi A, B, C. Dan itu dikasih waktu maksimum 12 bulan plus 6 bulan karena pandemik. Jadi 18, biasanya 12 bulan aja. Harusnya dalam waktu 3-4 bulan ke depan setelah dinyatakan dapat beasiswa LPDP, harusnya sudah bisa tuh lapor ke LPDP nih, LOA-nya saya udah diterima nih unconditional dari kampus antara A, B, C tadi. Kalau diterima tiga-tiganya, teman-teman yang putusin mau sekolah di kampus yang mana. Itu kalau yang pakai jalur tanpa LOA, seperti saya tanpa LOA. Tapi kalau yang sudah punya LOA, sekarang juga lebih menarik karena LOA-nya nggak harus PTUD. PTUD tadi yang saya listnya ada saya infokan kayak Columbia University, terus yang lain-lain itu deh. Ada banyak, ada 15 atau 20 gitu. Saya nggak hafal. Nah, itu enaknya kalau sekarang sudah punya LOA apapun, yang penting di listnya listnya perguruan tinggi termasuk LPDP itu yang diakui LPDP, teman-teman lumayan skip satu tes bakatnya, nanti tinggal tes wawancara. Tapi perlu digarisbawahi tidak langsung menjamin ya, gara-gara saya punya LOA nih udah pasti diterima, enggak juga. Nah, nanti dilihat di pada saat wawancara. Itu untuk yang sarannya. Lalu ini sering juga ditanyakan nih, untuk yang mengabdi 2N+1 jika mendapatkan beasiswa S2 dalam negeri LPDP, setelah itu lanjut S3 ke luar negeri. Oke, jadi apapun mau S2-nya di dalam negeri, S3-nya di luar negeri nih ya, ceritanya dapat beasiswa LPDP, lalu apply lagi gitu kan. Nggak apa-apa kalau sekolah lagi. Yang nggak boleh itu kan bekerja ya, maksudnya bekerja di luar negeri gitu. Setelah lulus. Kalau misalnya lulusnya sekarang S2 nih di Amerika, lulus, pulang ke Indonesia, belum 2N+1 nih, apply lagi beasiswa LPDP dan diterima lagi. Oh ya, silahkan sekolah lagi. Untuk sekolah, tidak untuk bekerja. Sebenarnya kan LPDP juga tidak membolehkan teman-temannya ini, penerima LPDP ini untuk bekerja loh di luar negeri. Karena asumsinya dengan living allowance yang diberikan oleh LPDP harusnya sudah cukup untuk kebutuhan sehari-hari. Tujuannya supaya fokus studinya. Tapi ya kita juga lihatlah di realitas sekarang, saya tahu banyak orang-orang yang kerja di luaran itu nyambi-nyambi kayak gitu. Ya memang tidak disarankan. Tapi kalau kejadian, ya mendingan nggak usah deh kayak gitu. Udah bel ya?
Deh.
Terima kasih kalau
Okay.
gitu. Nah, dan teman-teman.
Okay, thank you for all. This will be the end of our discussion with all Indonesian student representative and LPDP sessions. And Bianca team, do we have a jingle or directly goes to Bianca 33? Okay, thank you. We will wait for the jingle.
Bianca.
Okay, thank you, Bianca team. So I'm going to share flyer. This is from Bianca team. So there will be another Bianca session. So that will be the 33rd Bianca session, and schedule on the next month, I think after Lebaran. And the study program will focus on the medical. So if you have any interesting students, or perhaps want to try to admit to Auburn or perhaps Indiana University or University of Hawaii, please join to the Bianca session. Thank you. That will be all for the Bianca 33. And I'm going to give the session to the Bianca team, perhaps to share information for evaluation about today's session. And also we are going to have some photo session. Okay, thank you. There is a link for evaluation in the chat room. Please don't forget to give some feedbacks to us. to the committee so we can have make a better session for the next times. Okay, and then for the last one, before we close our session today, would you mind to take a picture for us, Bianca team?
Oke, terima kasih. Sekarang kita masuk ke sesi foto bersama ya. Kepada seluruh peserta diharapkan untuk on kamera. Oke, baik. Di sini ada 5 screen. Kita mulai dari screen yang pertama. Bersiap untuk foto. 1, 2, 3. Kemudian screen yang kedua bersiap untuk foto. 1, 2, 3. Screen 3. 1, 2, 3. Screen 4. Dan screen 5. Baik, terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Bianca team. So this will be our ending. Ibu Bapak, Mas Mbak sekalian, thank you for Prof. Poppy for inviting us in a Bianca session. And thank you for Dr. David for staying until the end of our program. And thank you for all the presenters, Pak Ari, Mbak Feni, Mbak Nanan, and Mas Vincent. And also thank you for all participants who are willingly to stay from the beginning until the end. We still reach 100 participants, and hopefully for today's session, you can get a strategy, tips, and tricks perhaps to make you more motivated to apply for master or doctoral program in the USA. Thank you, and see you next in the Bianca 33. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.